Good afternoon and welcome to our school board meeting for this afternoon. I just want to share with you that because we have a new computer system as it relates to where our documents are located, I'm just going to move a little slower this evening, and that way it will give us a chance to get more acclimated to the system and make sure that everyone has a chance to get to the document that's needed for each item. So I would ask that you bear with us, please. I'm also going to ask this time that if you are visiting, if you could please put your cell phone on vibrate. We would greatly appreciate that for the meeting. Today we have invocation by Pastor Joyce Stone from Christ the Cornerstone Church. And following Pastor Stone, we will have a wonderful song, our national anthem by somebody I know. And her name is Maiya Stevenson, a graduate of Gibbs High School PCCA program, and I believe now she's one of ours with Pinellas County Schools, so we are thankful for that. She is one of our new teachers at Fairmount Park, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And she was also the third place winner for Walker Rising Stars in 2013. So we are honored that you're here with us. So if we could have everyone stand at this time, please.
Let us pray. God, I ask a blessing upon this gathering. I thank you, God, for all that are here to help educate our children, young adults, and get them ready, God, for this future school year. I ask a blessing upon all those who are entrusted with the children, God, and their education. I ask for your safety, your protection. I ask for your wisdom, God, and I ask a special blessing upon all those who will be in our schools, God, that they may learn all that they are to learn so that they have a bright, beautiful future. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, she has a voice.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly wheeled at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our
Thank you so much, Maiya. I was waiting for Miss Brenda to come through the door. And Pastor Stone, thank you so very much for your words for this afternoon. I appreciate both of you. Have a wonderful day. As we prepare for the upcoming 2019-2020 school year, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge all of the hard work that our students, families, and teachers have been doing over the summer. We had over 11,000 students participate in learning opportunities through our Summer Bridge program, extended school year, and our credit recovery programs. And even more students enrolled in our summer camps. Not only did the students learn, but they even had some fun along the way. Let's take a look at some of our second grade Summer Bridge students as they learn about science, technology, engineering, and math through roller skating.
One of the really great things about skating in general is that it's a great life lesson. So the kids come here, when they fall down, they actually want to get back up. So really to be able to connect that with their educational sense. And when I tell them that, fidget spinners, which they love, have the same type of technology as a roller skating wheel, I really think that they're invested in the learning that we do here.
So they redesigned this technology,
And they'll remember it, and then they'll want to come back.
And this year, we skate together, so that way we're able to skate.
So today, during the lesson, you're going to see kids in an interactive setting. They're in small groups. They'll be learning about how science, technology, engineering, and math is present in the skating rink.
It was like straight down. Yeah, it was straight down.
And then we're actually going to move out into the rink and we're going to do an experiment. We're going to collect some data and try to really decide if, in fact, the ramp height does increase or decrease. Does that affect the way, the rate in which a skate will roll, so the distance in which a skate will roll. So even though Summer Bridge is like a really condensed lesson, the students are still getting a great sense of the science that happens in the skating rink, and they're allowed to touch and feel and play and really kind of get a greater sense of how that relates to their real world.
Is it going to make it past Josiah?
Yeah!
What do you think? What's your answer, Dart?
I think
My hand whenever you're ready, okay?
This is fantastic. It's even better than last year. The opportunity for the kids to put science, math, technology, engineering together with something they enjoy doing and seeing how science and math work in the real world. It's a great thing for the kids. I think it exposes them, so they just, as they grow and as they hear these concepts and this knowledge and this information, they begin to wonder, how does science and technology work in the real world? And eventually they put it together and they surprise us.
Yeah, because I learned that gravity pushes down the skate. Then the more taller he gets, the more force the gravity pushes down the skate. I'll describe it as a really great lesson for kids to learn, and every kid should learn.
And so with doing this as an educator and seeing their excitement and seeing their engagement whenever they come into the skating rink and they want to learn and ask questions, they want to be a part of the experiment, my educator heart is like super happy and bursting.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate that. I'm really excited about all that we're able to do with our Summer Bridge programs and elevating it up a notch by including STEM programs. At this time, we will have our introduction of professional and community organizations by our very own Lisa M. Wolf-Chason.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego and staff, it is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. Representing the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, Mike Gandolfo. With the Pinellas County Council of PTAs, Cindy Ehrenzeller. And representing the Pinellas Arts for a Complete Education Coalition, Victoria Hagedorn. Today there will not be a presentation from the Student Rights and Responsibilities Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think once school starts, we'll be able to see our young adults here in action again. I'm presenting you with the agenda. Do we have any amendments to the agenda, Dr. Grego?
Yes, we do. And as we continue to prepare for the opening of school, I have a series of amendments to the agenda based around appointments so that everyone is in place prior to the beginning of school. First amendment to the agenda, all of these are online, but they were placed online after the Tuesday submittal of the agenda. So the first one is 7.6, where we're transferring Dominique Clarkson, currently the assistant principal at John Hopkins, to the assistant principalship at Fairmount Park Elementary School. The second amendment is 7.12, which is a request. This agenda item is a request of the annual authorization for the superintendent to obtain injunctions for certain students in order to ensure safety of students and staff. The only amendment there, and I think it's a great amendment that the board members really requested, is that we end this every year and that we renew it and bring this item back to the board annually. The other items I'm requesting as amendment is 7.57, which is the request for approval of Mr. Michael Mostow, who is currently the assistant principal at Oak Grove, to be appointed as the threat assessment administrator. This is the new job description the board approved the last board meeting. The next 7.58 is the request for administrative appointment for the principalship of Tarpon Springs Middle School, and the recommendation is Aaron Phelps, who's currently the assistant principal at Northeast High School. 7.59 is the request for approval of administrative appointment for the principalship of Pinellas Park Elementary School, and the recommendation is Lori Frodine, who's currently the principal at Park Elementary School, and this is in Houston Independent School District, but she is currently residing here and has already moved. 7.60 is a request for approval of administrative appointment of assistant principal at High Point. The recommendation is Kristen Drainville, who's currently a classroom teacher at Ponce de Leon Elementary School. And 7.61, the final one, is a request for approval of appointment of ESE specialist, compliance and staffing specialist. And the recommendation is for Nicole M. Blair, who's currently the educational diagnostician and ESE staffing. That concludes the amendments to the agenda, Madam Chair.
Any questions or concerns or comments?
Move approval of the agenda as amended.
Regarding amendments to today's agenda, I find good cause to amend the agenda as described in detail by Dr. Grego. We have a motion. Do I have a second to approve the agenda? Mr. Dudley provided the second. All of our votes today will be guided by 6 votes. We have Miss School Board Member Eileen Long, who had a personal item that she needed to attend to, and so she was not able to join us either in person or by phone. So the record will reflect 6 votes. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye as it relates to the amendments to the agenda.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We have a resolution before us on today, and I believe Mr. Kapersky or Dr. Grego, one of them, will introduce the item, and then I've asked for School Board Member Lisa Kane to read that resolution.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Grego. The resolution.
Oh, Lord, I'm sorry.
The resolution in front of you is a result of recent amendment to Florida statute to add certain anonymous reporting applications and tools such as Fortify Florida and See Something, Say Something, those types of tools to a school district's ability to enhance the safety of their schools. And so that's what this resolution does. It's contemplated by statute.
Okay. You want to go ahead and read the resolution, Ms. Kane?
Resolution, the School Board of Pinellas County, Florida, Student Crime Watch Program. Whereas the school board is the governing body of Pinellas County School District, and whereas the school board desires to keep its students, staff, and visitors safe, secure, and free from harm, and whereas Florida law requires the school board to implement a Student Crime Watch Program by resolution to promote responsibility among students and improve school safety, and whereas programs such as Sandy Hook Promise, Save Clubs, See Something, Say Something, and Fortify Florida app that allow the anonymous reporting of information primarily by students could prevent potentially harmful results, and whereas local law enforcement agencies promote safety within our schools, and whereas the school board is providing a mechanism that allows students in the community to anonymously relay information concerning unsafe and potentially harmful, dangerous, violent, or criminal activities, or the threat of these activities to appropriate public safety agencies and school officials. Now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Pinellas County, Florida has and does implement a student crime watch program described herein, adopted at our regular session of the school board on the 30th day of July 2019.
Do we have a motion with a second on that?
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 6-0 vote. I owe every last one of you in here, I counted 27 some popcorn since my phone rang.
Madam Chair, if I can.
Yes, sir.
I know that was a statutory requirement, but there's a lot of folks who really moved this item, and Donna Sicilian in the back, and Student Services, and many of us, and this board included, even prior to the requirement, prior to the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas tragedy, we were moving on the see something, say something, starts with hello, the character development building in our schools. So this is nice, and it's a statutory requirement, and I understand the requirement, but I also want to praise staff for staying ahead of these types of issues and really determining the needs of our schools and our community even prior to them becoming requirements. So thank you to our Student Services Department and all of our principals for really enacting this. As you know, we were recognized nationally in Madeira Beach and Cypress Woods for some of the outstanding efforts that we're making with the Sandy Hook Promise work, so kudos to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for making those comments. That was very nice. And thank you to everyone who plays a role in that. We're moving on to public comments on agenda items. Ms. Ann, do we have any cards?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have no speakers this evening on specific agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any unfinished business items? No unfinished business items? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Move approval of the consent agenda. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We do have a few non-consent agenda items. And the first is to request the approval of the renewal agreement with Community Tampa Bay. Dr. Grego?
Yes, this is always one that I would like to bring to the attention of the general public, because this board and our district continues to partner with Community Tampa Bay, and it's making such a huge difference in our schools. And I'm going to ask Ms. Matway to say a few words about our partnership with Community Tampa Bay and the impact that it's having.
Good afternoon, Board Chair, Board members, Dr. Grego and staff. It is my pleasure once again to bring this contract agreement forward to the board for your approval. We have been partnered with Community Tampa Bay for over 25 years, and I personally have been part of Community Tampa Bay as a PMAC advisor and liaison when I was just a teacher not that long ago, and also as an administrator bringing their youth leadership councils and meetings to our school. I've also had the opportunity to attend their celebrations at Anytown, and of course now as we've developed the professional development and the cohort trainings for our staff to make sure that we're using the culturally responsive instruction and teaching methods that are just embedded in the work of Community Tampa Bay. So first, I want to take this opportunity to celebrate some of the work that that's taken place and share with you that 68 students participated in Anytown in 2018, and probably we'll hear about 2019 in just a second. We had 15 middle and high schools, which touched about 548 students that participated in the youth leadership conferences. And faculty and staff, we had 11 elementary, middle, and high schools that participated in the in-depth professional development and building the skill set at their school and taking it back for additional training. But joining me today is the Executive Director, Allison Singer, and I'll ask Allison to step up and share with you some of the work that's taking place and some of the innovation that will be added. Allison?
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, Dr. Grego, Chair, and esteemed board members. It's a pleasure to be before you this evening. I also want to take a moment to introduce and recognize my colleague, Program Director Sam Obaid, who's here with us today in support of this proposal. We really appreciate the opportunity to come before you again this evening and to continue, hopefully, our decades-long partnership with you all. As Lori mentioned, we really couldn't have a better champion and partner than PCS has been for us and Lori herself as well. I do want to go ahead and share a couple of the updated numbers since the time we shared this proposal with you. We've had another successful Anytown season, and we met our objectives with you all in that regard. We just recently graduated 107 new agents of change from the Anytown program this summer, 66 of which were Pinellas County students. There was also representation from every single Pinellas County high school at our Anytown program this summer. That's something that we're very proud of, and we work very hard to be in all of your schools throughout the school year. Before you is a three-part proposal that continues our work. Two of those efforts are really centered on students in the form of Anytown, our summer residential youth leadership development program, and throughout the school year at what we call youth leadership conferences, which are one-day conferences on site at your schools. Those happen in both middle schools and high schools, and we're very excited to continue that work. It's also a major source of interest in our Anytown program over the summer. So the one-day youth leadership conference certainly contributes to the cultures and communities of Pinellas County Schools, as well as to the continued work of Community Tampa Bay at Anytown and year-round. And I do want to emphasize that after the summer concludes, we continue to work with Pinellas County students throughout the year in what we call our year-round Anytown program. Right now, the major initiative of that is called Advocacy Academy, which is an incredible program that Sam has really spearheaded and has taken on great life over the past several years. And it's a way we continue to support students and their leadership development skills even after that residential week with us over the summer. And then the third part of the proposal before you is continued partnership on your staff development. So we very much appreciate the inclusive and safe spaces you're working to create for your students. And we understand that staff development is one of the ways that you support and center your students in that way. We are looking to continue that partnership this year and to really help you meet your own goals in that regard, considering an updated model of training in that regard to make sure that your staff is available to take on professional development opportunities outside of school hours so that they're able to meet their students' needs during the school hours, and that you all are able to meet your goal of getting fully 1/4 of your staff trained in this regard by 2020. And we believe this proposal will help you meet those needs as well. So again, thank you for the opportunity to address you, certainly available for any questions, and we look forward to continued partnership.
Do we have a motion with a second as it relates to support of this? We have a motion by Lisa. Anybody? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0 vote. Just the FYI, I've known about Tampa Bay and Anytown since Ashley Ellis. When she and Dave, he's not with us anymore, were recruiting people to come up and volunteer. And then my nephew, Daniel Sanders, is very involved. So hopefully, even though he's going away to college, he'll remain involved when he has time.
We
so
hope
I
so
know
too. He's amazing.
I know. But you all do wonderful work. So I just want to say thank you so very much and appreciate you. And thank you, Lori, and to staff for bringing this forward.
Thank you all again. Appreciate
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, so moving on to non-consent agenda item number 2, Dr. Grego.
Yes, likewise, I am very excited about this memorandum of agreement with the Junior Achievement of Tampa Bay. As you know, I sit on their board in the 3DE project that Mr. Hendrick, and we also have a guest here, so I want to introduce him and Mr. Hendrick. Let me turn it over to Mr. Hendrick, because he always accuses me of stealing all of the things that he's going to say, so but I am very excited about this project. It's a good project.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Grego, members of the staff, and the public. Happy to be here tonight for an agenda item to ask for your approval of a memorandum of agreement with 3DE Florida and Junior Achievement of Tampa Bay. Joining me tonight is the president of Junior Achievement Tampa Bay, Richard George, and I'm going to ask him to say a few words in just a moment. We brought this to you at the workshop, but for the benefit of the public, this partnership between 3DE and Junior Achievement and the school district will open up 2 career academy programs in the 2021 school year at St. Petersburg High School and at Dunning High School. The programs will be for zoned students. They will not be application programs, but for zoned students to further our goal of connecting every student to a college and career-ready experience. Oftentimes, our zoned students who do not choose our DAP programs sometimes do not get that same experience that others get, and we're very excited to bring this to students at their zoned school. Through a partnership with Junior Achievement, they will bring local business partners to implement a case study model of looking at problems of practice in local businesses. One of the exciting things about this Career Academy is that it does not just focus on one particular industry, as most of our career academies do, but it will give students a wide variety of experiences over the course of 4 years. We've been in conversations with Junior Achievement Tampa Bay for over a year, and for the last 8 months have engaged in what's called a due diligence process, meeting and talking with them every 2 weeks to frame out the schools and the way of work to ensure that these models are successful as they launch off the ground. They'll begin again in the 2021 school year, and we're thrilled for this partnership, continued partnership, because certainly Junior Achievement has done many things with our school district for a number of years. And so I've asked Richard George, the president, to share just a few words of excitement on behalf of Junior Achievement and the great partnership we continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair, School Board, and Dr. Grego. Yeah, I've been involved with Junior Achievement for 35 years now this summer, all in St. Petersburg and Tampa area. And we're 100 years old nationally, 55 years old in Pinellas. And let me tell you, this is the biggest news we've ever had in my history. So I'm very excited, particularly at St. Petersburg High and Dunedin High. And this, I've seen it in Atlanta, Georgia. And what they kicked off 6 years ago is now spread from the lowest performing high school in Georgia to where they had a 60% graduation rate of student participants to a 92% graduation rate this year from this student population, where kids did not want to go to Banneker High School, and now there's a waiting list for this program. So Junior Achievement is in charge of helping public education prepare our students. So our local board of directors are thrilled to be partnered with 3DE nationally and the Pinellas County School Board, which your team has been remarkable in the due diligence. So now we turn over to the high schools for the next year in preparation, and we already have plans for recruitment of the students. So our board of directors are behind it. We have a national sponsor out of the Tampa Bay area, the first sponsor outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So the business community is stepping up. Our business volunteers are going to be very excited. And I just came from a meeting down in St. Petersburg. I'm telling you, people are very excited about getting engaged in your high schools. So if there's any questions, but thank you so much for this consideration.
And so board members, we ask for your approval this evening of this memorandum.
Dr. Grego pushed his light.
Well, after the board members.
Oh, okay. Any board members with any comments, questions, or concerns? Dr. Grego.
I just want to say thank you publicly to Richard George. He and I have known one another for a lot of years in terms of projects, and if there's anybody who can truly get things done and as I was saying yesterday, execute things, it's Junior Achievement and Richard George. Went to a breakfast of business people not too long ago and really rolled this out, and there's such excitement. We were down at the library near All Children's Hospital, and there was tremendous excitement listening to the students and listening to the possibilities of this program. So it's going to be a good thing, and not only for the Dunedin High School and also St. Petersburg, but we see this growing across the Tampa Bay region. So I just am very excited and certainly want to encourage the board to not only get behind this, but also continue to track this, and let's see where it goes with our high school students. And we will, and after this year, after next year, implementation, certainly want to expand this project for Richard. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you very much. I was thinking the same thing, because I was thinking of the beta program. It gives high schoolers business-minded, business-focused Northeast High School, same thing. So, yeah. Have you all ever done a model, or would you ever consider a model for middle school?
It's interesting. They've been asking Georgia, in fact, Banneker High School has asked for a full school implementation project. So they're taking a look at, they're going from 6 high schools to 20 high schools in Georgia within 5 years. So we'll take a look at it. I know
later down the road maybe, but yeah.
I understand middle school is very important for all of us.
Yeah.
And please know we have 10,000 of your students, Pinellas County student per year of business engagement. And you were correct, Kevin, when you mentioned this isn't about one career, this is about economic mobility and empowering them. And they decide, so these case studies go across biology, creative writing. It brings it all to life. So we're really excited about that.
Thank you, thank you. Do we have a motion with a second to accept this proposal?
Move approval.
Is there a second? It was seconded by Mr. Dudley. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you again so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we're moving on to items introduced by the superintendent.
Yes, Madam Chair and school board members, as you know, this is probably the busiest time of the year for several of us, for all of us, I'll say. And thank you to the board members who are working very hard to attend all of these back to schools and preparation meetings and things like that. So I left a document at your desk area of what's new in Pinellas County Schools, and this is a document that was actually put together by a communications department as you go out into the community. And if people ask you, so what's new in Pinellas County Schools for the 1920 school year? There's a lot new, but we tried to hone it down to something that's manageable, as you can see, and we broke it up into various divisions. Obviously, I won't go through this whole thing, but as you know, we're opening up the Alyssa Nelson Elementary School. It's a new school. I'll start my day, and the first day of school, more than likely there. Our K-5 literacy and our work with reading recovery in the 12 targeted schools that we'll be piloting. That's part of the Bridging the Gap plan. We are in athletics adding boys and girls lacrosse to Northeast High School and Osceola Fundamental High School. There's 2 more, so we will bring us to 6 high schools in Pinellas County that will play for the FHSAA sanctioned lacrosse. So we're growing the sport. Our advanced placement teachers will have the new College Board tools that will better prepare students to understand what's on those AP exams. We're expanding AVID to 7 new schools this year. There's James Sanderlin IB World Schools, 6 through 8, the Eisenhower, Northwest, Orange Grove, Ridgecrest, Sexton, and Westgate Elementary Schools. I'm so proud of our elementary schools. They're stepping up for the AVID program. A lot of districts, they don't include their elementary schools. We're offering Spanish now at several of our VPK locations and in collaboration with our World Language Department. And VPK students will be receiving Spanish twice a week in these programs in these schools. We're also offering the new collegiate program at Eastlake High School that will allow students to earn both their high school degree and an Associate of Arts or an AA degree while they're still in Eastlake High School. They don't have to go to St. Pete. The college. They can earn it right at the high school there. And remember, board members, this is also the first year for the new dual enrollment for University of Florida as we roll that out too. We're expanding the offerings of our EAS programs for career technical education in Bayside, Pinellas, Gulf Coast Academy, and Distant Academy. You'll see those programs there. Our goal there is that everyone receives a high school diploma and a job credential at our EAS programs. As you know, in our operational services, on page 3, we're installing the Intralogic. Mr. Herbeck talked to us about that during our workshop, the emergency lockdown system, so everyone has access to it. We're also activating that IdentikID for new visitors, and this is a management hardware software that's going to make it a whole lot easier for our schools and for our volunteers. Our transportation department is implementing the bus bulletin, and this is a device that will notify parents when and if there might be an accident on the road that's slowing down. Our district is so densely populated, sometimes one accident will drive us back, delay us a half hour plus. And so the bus bulletin will notify those parents so you can check the status, you know, when you're on your computer and you can see where that bus is, so they'll know. And for the most part, a lot of parents, they certainly understand that, but they just know that students are safe and they know what the delay will be. You see certain things in our food and nutrition department. We're phasing out styrofoam and we're bringing more environmentally friendly compostable trays, bowls, cups, takeout boxes, and the infamous straws that's getting so much attention too. But we're piloting the compost program at Dunedin and North Shore Elementary Schools too, so we're growing not only gardens but also compost. And vegan menus are coming your way in August. So we are doing a lot of things, and across the board in every single department here too. So you could see the various things. I'm not going to go through each one of them. In student services, and human resources and strategic communications. Speaking of strategic communications, at your desk area, you do have our new lapel pins. We gave these out at yesterday's Back to School Administrative. We've ordered a lapel pin or pin for every single employee in the school district. So we'll be distributing this to bus drivers, everyone that works in this district. So take it and wear it proudly, and as I say to staff, each and every day. You know that we already rolled out our official Instagram account, but we're expanding our social media presence. As you know from our workshop, we'll be redoing and revitalizing our website. 10.5 million hits a year at our website, so it's time for a refresh, and we're very excited about doing that. So certainly take these items and you can read them in greater detail, but as you're out in the community and people are asking you questions about various aspects, I think this is a really good reference, and I want to thank the staff for kind of pulling it together for this board, and honestly for me too, as I go out and do various interviews and address the public about our new opening up of our new school year. We had our back to school administrative celebration yesterday. I want to thank Mike Benet for hosting us at Osceola High School, and thank you to the board members who were able to make it there. I thought it was a huge and a great way of opening up our new school year. We had a little bit of a, what I'll say, recognition celebration here. As you know, our workers, employees here in this building seem to never get off that cycle of end of a school year, beginning of summer bridge, beginning of school year, district-wide training, all of the things that are happening. And so thank you to the board members who were able to make it here. But we had a big administrative building. Thank you for what you do. Successful year, successful summer this past week. Thank you for PASA, the Pinellas Association for School Administrators, who hosted this small gathering right before this meeting. They certainly enjoyed speaking with you and continuing to get to know you better and better. This is our first official board meeting since the school grades were released in July 11th. However, we did have a workshop, and I want the public to know that we went over all of this, but kudos to so many of our school administrators, teachers, support staff members, all of us, the support staff members, including cafeteria workers, bus drivers, plant operators, everyone that contributes to students and encourages students. 94% of our schools earned an A, B, or C. 56% of them made an A or B, with 89%, just under 90%, maintaining or improving their letter grade. We had very, very few schools go down this year, which is remarkable. 17 schools improved to a B, 6 schools increased to a C, 8 schools increased 2 letter grades, which is significant. And no schools in the transformation zone dropped a letter grade. They either maintained or improved. And I want to thank each and every one of you on this board and throughout all of our employees for your ongoing support. This last month, and you'll see it coming out in what's called the District Administration Magazine, Pinellas County Schools was named as a district of distinction, one of 34 districts nationwide for our personalized learning pathways. As you know, this was the electronic pathways, personalized learning structure that was set up by our own students, the Lakewood High School CAT program, which allows students grades 3 through 12 to get extra practice lessons with the Florida standards. In addition to that, we were recognized and noticed this past week, and we're going to do this more formally because this is really a big deal, and Mr. Smith probably won't raise the flag on this, but I'm going to a little bit, and that is that our finance department received the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting. I received a certificate this last week. It's a high honor in terms of the quality, and this is something that you don't apply for, you don't seek, but really comes to us based on the work that's happening in our school district. So it's appropriate that we're having our first budget hearing or first tonight, so we'll put a plug in for them before they have to do that. So congratulations not only to you, Mr. Smith, but your entire department. Board members, on a more formal note, I plan on bringing this recognition to the board at a future board meeting. I also placed at your desk area a letter from Rick Scott that I just want to keep you informed of because it just came in and we were having the meeting tonight. It was easier for me to do this. And I want to continue to assure you that we, as a district, are fully compliant with all aspects of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Public Safety act. And I want to thank Chief Williams and Mr. Herbick and Sheriff Galtieri and all of those individuals in the community that work so hard to ensure that we are, and we stay that way. We had our Transformation Zone Community Partnership Celebration this past Saturday. Thank you for those of you who were able to support that. We had tremendous turnout. We had some great press too, and really great community involvement, and that's what it's all about, is our community coming forward to help us with our schools. We also, I want to stop for a second on the news items and just say to you that one of the last things is that you asked me in our last workshop to contact CareerSource on the discussion about the representation of this board, an elected official, to the CareerSource board. So here's what I found out. Number one is they changed their bylaws that they would like an elected official from the school board, and if not, they would seek another elected official. I said, no, I think maybe our school board members would want to do that. The second question is that you were pretty emphatic that you wanted to continue to have representation from Mr. Hunt, who's the head of our career technical ed, and they very much enjoy having him on their board and plan to continue. So the answer to that question is yes, he will continue as a full-fledged board member. He's been voted by the county commission to be one of the members. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Flowers if you do want to ask for volunteers on who would want to serve on the CareerSource board. I asked what kind of level of commitment this is, and they said that they will meet every other month, so about 6 times a year. I can't guarantee about subcommittees, but they pretty much stick to that every other month. So if anyone wants to.
So, Mr. Kapersky, what I did not do was add this particular item because it would be an action. So is that something that I need to amend the agenda for by adding this item, or is something we can just move forward? Because it's really an appointment, official appointment by the board.
No, the board should take action, but it may do so under new business. That's exactly what this part of the agenda is for.
Okay, all right. So at this time, I did have a conversation with Dr. Grego because what we talked about was having Mr. Mark Hunt, serve since he was already serving. And we did not, neither one of us knew that this was something that CareerSource had actually changed their bylaws to address. So I told Dr. Grego at the board meeting I would ask if anyone would be interested in serving. I do know from the inception of this committee, when it was WorkNet, before it became CareerSource, I was on the board. There are 6 meetings a year, and then there's like a conference, annual conference that you go to with other CareerSource organizations, and so if you choose to go to that. So I wanted to see if there was anyone interested. Unfortunately, Ms. Eileen's not here. I don't know if she would be, but is there anyone that would be interested in serving?
I would go.
Okay. So we have, okay, and Lisa? Can we have a alternate, but that way if one can't make it, the other could? They wouldn't have any voting.
Alternating month, right?
No, you couldn't do alternating months because they're going to take action on a name. But what I'm asking is, could we have someone who would attend? They probably would not be able to vote.
I think they want one name
Just
as an
one name?
elected official
Okay.
for that. So,
Okay,
I would go. Joanne, Lentino.
okay. I'm hearing you, Joanne, but I'm also looking at Lisa because she also indicated she wanted to. So what do you want to do, Lisa? You want to just because we could just take a vote on either person? Okay. Well, let us ask about the alternate piece because that's not something, I would love for always there to be a board member there, even if you're just getting information. But you probably wouldn't be able to vote, but just be there for information.
Mark is always there. He is
Yeah.
a regular member, so it just.
And you can always go to the meetings too, so, just can't vote or anything. So we do have Ms. School Board Member Joanne Lentino, who has stated that she would like to attend. Will we have a motion with a second as it relates to that appointment?
Move approval.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. So, Dr. Grego, if you would please
I will.
Get all the information that School Board Member Lentino would need to move forward, so she'll have meeting dates and all of that good stuff.
We'll do that.
That would be greatly appreciated.
tomorrow.
And I didn't see Mr. Hunt. Oh, there he is. So, Mr. Hunt, thank you so very much as well for your presence, your input. Dr. Grego said that you received glowing comments and remarks about your participation. So thank you so much for for being there for us. We really appreciate it.
That concludes my comments.
That
Thank
was
you.
the end of your
Yeah.
report?
And let's have a great opening of school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
All
as
right.
I always say every year, let's be safe on the roads.
Let's be safe on the roads.
Pay attention to those arms that come out on the bus.
Because that is a ticket. School board items introduced by the school board attorney.
I have no items, thank you, ma'am.
No items, that's a good thing. So items introduced by the board. I have a light from school board member Lentino. Excuse me.
Yes, and here is my report. I attended the Mad Beach Democratic Beach Party and also attended the Central Labor Council Party. Jean Crapo and I also attended the Democratic Convention in Orlando, Florida. The school board, the Florida School Board Association meeting was held at the Passport to Effective Leadership, and I also attended the Dell Holmes Park picnic. The picnic was in order to raise money for funds to support the reading program that the NAACP has going on. The walk we took from 28th Street North and 2nd Avenue was quite invigorating. I reached the park at the beer bus and had a great time. We had a terrific time and handing out beer to everyone, so go Stonewalls, right? The activity I attended at Happy Workers was always a great experience for me. I was at the Happy Workers each and every Friday. On each Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., I participated in the spelling bee, the geography bee, and the math bee. I was a judge. I attended the John Cusack movie at the Straz later that evening, and Mr. Cusack delivered Say Anything, and it was a very enjoyable evening. At the Acropolis, I took Betty Morgenstein to dinner. We had a very interesting time with a speaker who talked about the D-Day experience. On July 31st, I will be attending the 11:30 to 1:15 luncheon. The Tiger Bay will be addressing Blackmon Hornbeck and should be an interesting time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. School board member Nicole Carr.
Okay. I just wanted to recognize the hard work done within our consent items today. We had a number of items that required quite a bit of planning and work and preparation in the area of our special projects department. It is that time of year when I know IDEA and our Title I neglected and delinquent, Title III English language acquisition, along with a very large 21st century grant that done by Dr. Brim's office. So there were a number of things that with Ms. Mowat, Dr. Mowat, Ms. Toppings, Dr. Carrick and Dr. Brim, as well as Dr. Connage, have put a lot of time and effort in. And as we were thinking and reflecting about making a plan and executing a plan, it's folks like that that guide us throughout the year because of this heavy level of planning preschool. So thank you to those folks within the Special Projects Department. We had a very large consent agenda today, so we did not have the opportunity to pull and discuss all of those items, but I didn't want them to fail to be recognized for their hard work as we think about execution and starting off with a great school year. So thank you.
Fabulous. Just very quickly, I just a couple of items. The first is Dr. Grego, I'm so glad that you mentioned, because I was going to ask that question about an update as it related to our new partnership for our students with the USF and Florida for those schools, for those AA degree, dual degree certification programs. So thank you so much for hitting on that. Thank you again, too, for allowing us to participate with the ice cream social with staff. I had a really good time and helping to pass out ice cream and the toppings. It was a lot of fun with staff, and so I think they really enjoyed that time away. Thank you so much for your support with Art O'Hara's memorial service. It was scheduled, unfortunately, it was scheduled earlier, but it was the same time of the Transformation Zone event at Fairmount Park. And I had already said I would attend that event, but I really wanted to be there for Art's event, so I wasn't there to make it. But thank you so very much, Dr. Grego, for attending. He spoke very eloquently on behalf of the Pinellas County School District. And thank you to everyone who gave kind words kind comments and things of that nature. The staff really appreciated it, and so did persons from the community. So thank you so much for that. We all received an email. This is just for a follow-up, Dr. Corbett. We all received an email. It was copied to everybody from the ACLU, Michelle Morton. And I did not think that we restrained students because we don't have that capability. Nor are we a medical facility such that we would be able to restrain, other than those students who are, they may have some medical challenges where they have to be secured in their seat, but not restrained. And then being subjected to seclusion. Seclusion, that word can be defined many different ways. You could have someone sit off to themselves because they just need to kind of do some reflection. So you could say that's seclusion, but you're not moving them completely out of the classroom. So maybe we can just kind of follow up on that, because I just, again, don't want information to get out there as though we're doing these things to students, and that's not where we are with our disciplinary plan, no matter what the student's condition is. You all may already have moved on it, but since we have our grades out, I was thinking maybe LSI could come and give us an update or something, or, because they came in and talked about their plan and things of that nature. And, I was asking about rebates and refunds. So maybe they could, rebates and refunds. So maybe they could come in, you guys could schedule it, and they could come in and just tell us where they are and what their next set of plans are, what do they think and all of that good stuff. They may have already shared that with you, but and then the only other thing I have to say is I'm just really excited. Today I was at Gibbs High School. Thank you so much for the support as it related to Mr. Freddie Dowles and the Gibbs High School class. So excited. Thank you so very much for that. So today I had a chance to go to Gibbs High, talk about the size of the verbiage that will go up to recognize him. His name is on the basketball gym floor, so we went in to see that. So staff at Gibbs were excited. Area Superintendent Pat Wright was there. Representatives from Gibbs High, their class were there. They're really excited about it. So am I. So thank you all so very much for that support. And then I'm gonna do a special shout out because I called Mr. Clint Herbig this morning and I said, hey, can you see if we could get a washer dryer hookup over at Fairmount Park? Because in the past, you all have heard me talk about purchasing items for some of the students that need those things. And there was a request for a washer dryer for the bigger part of the school. And so I called Mr. Clint Herbig and said, can you see if it's a closet or something that we could do a washer dryer hookup? Because I have someone who will contribute the washer dryer. And so I got an email saying, oh my gosh, someone came over here today and I was wondering who the angel was because they came to measure for the washer dryer hookup and all of that. So thank you for moving on that so fast. So they'll be able to have that at the start of the year, and that'll be really good. It may not seem like it's a whole lot, but when we have students in need sometimes of certain things, that way I'm getting some extra uniforms donated so they can have some clothes there, and then they can get some washed if that's what's needed. So thank you so much. You moved on that so fast, lightning out the gate. So thank you so much for that. And again, with everybody else, just thank everybody for what we're doing. We are going to continue to move in a positive vein. I am excited about it. I'm excited that we are writing our own story. We are branding our district, moving positive in the right direction. And so I'm super, super excited. I know all of us will be at somebody's school on the first day of school, shaking little hands and big hands, but I'm excited about that as well. So thank you all so very much. Thank you to my colleagues as well for all of the hard decisions we have to make to include the budget that we'll take up in a little while. So thanks a million, everybody. Appreciate it.
Excuse me,
Yes.
I forgot to acknowledge the foster parent card. Be their champion, be their foster parent. Do you have room in your home and in your heart? We have these cards, and I will distribute them amongst the classroom people here, and hopefully we'll get some interest.
Fabulous. That's right. All children could use a family. Dr. Grego?
Yeah, I have one more thing, if I may.
Yes, sir.
For the first day of school, we each year put out, our staff covers the entire school district, so we'll be visiting a series of schools. I will share that list with the board members, so if you are able, if you want, so you know who's going where. Like I already mentioned, I'll probably start as a typical, I always start my morning about 4:30. Ms. Cook, you're welcome to join me with the bus drivers, any of the board members. I haven't had many takers in the last few years. but you're always welcome. I will be there.
I
Next
did
for a long
one
day.
year.
You did, you did,
One
you did,
year.
you did.
I did 1 year, just one.
Yeah. One's enough, right? But I will start at the bus, just really welcoming our bus drivers and thanking them for being the first smiling face our
Yeah.
students will see, and they are the legitimate kickoff to our school year, and then we'll probably get to Nelson Elementary School because it's opening and series. So staff will cover every school. We'll have a debriefing typically about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening just to see how did the first day go, all of the nuts and bolts of our school district. But I will share that list with the board members, so if you want to drop in or so, I can't guarantee exact time, because of everything, but we do cover every single school, and we do keep several individuals back here because you can control more back here from phone and usage, so some of us are, but we do cover every single school in this district, so I will share that with you. And I want to thank staff for being so aggressive with that. It's really good, and the principals really appreciate that too. So.
Yeah, fabulous. And the only other thing I have is, so it's like Linda Lerner is here. It's like school board member Linda Lerner is here. So just channel her for a moment. I was a little disappointed in the attempted move by our Attorney General as it relates to semi-automatic weapons. We're working so hard to make sure that our schools are safe, and so many things were put into place and voted on by the public to curtail persons' ability to be able to get those weapons. And now to have it opened up where she wants to kind of do away with what was supported by the voters. So I'm a little disappointed in that. This is something Linda Lerner would she probably said a little stronger, but I'm just a little disappointed in that because it's all a part of what it is that we're supposed to be doing to try to really look at the safety, not just of schools, but of all places. So anyway, I'm just sharing that. I see Ms. Kane has a light.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the staff and the administration. This school year is really exciting for the 3 new board members here. This is our first year to start from the very beginning and see it all the way through the school year, and we are really, really excited to be a part of all the new ventures and all of the new exciting opportunities to help students throughout our district over the next 9 to 10 months. And I just want everyone to know that we are so happy we're here for you. We are excited to be a part of all the changes, excited to get out there and see schools and visit principals and see what's going on with our students face to face. And we are here for 100% student success in Pinellas County, and 100% we are committed to that. We are committed to our goals, to our strategic plan, and to everything that we laid out yesterday to the administration. And I'm just really excited to be a part of it. So I just want to thank everyone for being so welcoming over the past 6 months to us new board members. And like I said, anything we can do for you, we're here. So let's have a great start to the school. I'm excited.
Yes. Any others? All right. So we're going to wrap that part up. So we're moving on to, since we have had our board comments, nothing. So moving on to a review of board requests from Dr. Corbett.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have 3 items. The first, we will provide a follow-up to the board to the email from the ACLU regarding restraining students and secure seclusion. We will schedule a future workshop for LSI to come in and report on the progress last year and what their future plans are, and we will share a list with the board of the first day visits should you care to sign up to visit any of the schools.
Thank you so very much. So we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting because we finished ahead of schedule, and then of course we'll have anyone who signed up to be speakers, and we can do our board assessment in the back. The school board will adjourn our regular meeting. We'll have all of that. We will return at 6:30 p.m. to conduct a public hearing on the tentative 2019-2020 millage rates and district budget. The public hearing will be aired after this board meeting. The public is invited to stay with us for this very important meeting, so you're more than welcome to stay. So I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Ms. Ann, do we have any cards?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have 2 speakers this evening. Our first is Lenora Faulkner, and our second will be Mike Gandolfo.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Flowers and honorable school board members. God bless you and your work. I am Lenora Faulkner, Florida professional educator since 1967. certified in biology, chemistry, math, science, health education, middle schools, and the gifted. In 1967, the University of Florida sent me to the Space Coast. I was at a new school. We had a weather station. We were number 1 in math and science in the nation, maybe in the world. My students' parents worked on the Apollo space program. In 2009, America was number 17 in science. Why? I found myself fighting for education excellence for all students. I was born at the United States Naval Academy. That is my standard. Teachers are graded on the value-added model. I could grade schools since 2008, and the science charter schools with the value-added model. 5 stars or 5 scars. Remember the 5 failure schools and the Science Center charter schools in St. Petersburg. Remember the school board won the Pulitzer Prize for failure factories. I have a 400-page document for this Science Center charter school. Why am I here? In 2003, my son and I graduated from the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce Entrepreneurial Academy. I belonged to the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce for 2 years. I was asked to attend a focused leadership meeting May 13, 2005. I asked questions to the head of Shorecrest Prep and the Dean of Education at USF St. Petersburg. The Regional Deputy Attorney General for the state of Florida asked me to come to the back with him and his friend. John Carras's wife worked with me at Pinellas Park Middle when I had cancer in 7 of my lymph nodes, and I was home for 5 days without white blood cells. She walked with 30 others in a cancer walk, the Faulkner Friends. John asked, "What happened to you? What happened to Pinellas Park Middle?" My doctor wrote a letter for me to retire immediately in 2003. The Pinellas School Board hasn't answered it yet. Also, 30 teachers put in for transfers and the entire science department.
Thank you, Lenore.
I just want to say John Maroney asked me to come, and he did die of cancer, and I've been going to county commissioners ever since. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Gandolfo?
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. The past 5 years since I became leader of the Pinellas Teachers Education Association, relations between PCTA and the district have ranged from strained to exceptionally collaborative. The interactions between the superintendent and myself often mirror that relationship. I can recall once telling Dr. Grego that the only reason he spoke to me was because he had to. Well, since that time, the superintendent and I have broken bread together, have gotten to know and appreciate each other. And when my son was recovering from an accident that left him permanently disabled, Mike Grego prayed with me. The basic rule of thumb here is that you have to like a guy when he prays with you, especially when it's for your family. I believe Dr. Grego understands the importance of having a good working relationship with PCTA. The legislature has done its best to place us at odds with each other, passing laws that harm public education and making it difficult to provide students with a well-rounded education. From divide and conquer crazy bonus schemes to unfunded mandates to vouchers, they have pulled the strings like a puppeteer trying to get districts and unions to be at odds. But in Pinellas, we have foiled these attempts. In my time as president, PCTA has collaborated with the district on multiple projects that benefited educators and students. PCTA continues to work collaboratively with the district on foundations training to support new teachers, with Springboard for Success training, with restorative practices, with ESOL courses for the newly required reading endorsement, and our Union Hall often plays host to many district trainings. PCTA expends a great deal of our time and resources ensuring that the referendum, which has become an absolute essential for our district, passes. The bulk of the work PCTA does aligns with the district's vision of 100% student success. It's an insult to the educators of Pinellas to say otherwise. PCTA enjoys being and would like to remain invested in our district. We refuse to return to a time when Pinellas County Schools deals with PCTA simply because it's required to by law. The mutual respect will not disappear simply because Mike Gandolfo is no longer a union president or Mike Grego is no longer a superintendent. Public education cannot afford for us to take any backward steps. And if there are people that would like to see that happen, they are making a grave error in judgment, and they underestimate both Mike G's in this room tonight. Thank you.
That was very touching. No other cards, so we will go ahead and adjourn our meeting. We can gather here in the back and do our positives and evaluation services, and then we will all come back together at 6:30 for the budget meeting. And for those of you that would like to stay, please do so. It's a very interesting presentation. Good evening. At this time, we'll go ahead and start our public hearing as it relates to the tentative 2019-2020 millage rates and our overall district budget. So I'd like to call this meeting to order at this time. We will follow a very precise guideline because that's what we have to do as it relates to statute. For those of you that I asked to read specific things from the language, I would like that you read it exactly the way it's worded because that's what we have to do. And we'll take the appropriate motions at that time. Hopefully everyone does have the manila folder that we were provided with, and it has your documents inside. So if you could locate those at this time if you've not had a chance to do so. I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda that we have before us related to the budget hearing. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second, please? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so very much. We'll have our introductory comments by Dr. Grego.
Yes, Madam Chair and the board, I want to welcome you certainly to the first of two public hearings for the 2019-20 budget and school year. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank you for your interest and your assisting in formulating this budget for the 2019-20 school year. As you know, this budget is tied directly to our strategic plan, and consistent with prior year's practice, the budget was presented to the board in a very comprehensive workshop held on June 25th. At that workshop, the budget was laid out in great detail, covering each component of the budget. Remember those notebooks that Mr. Smith provided each of you. Consistent with past practices, we'll continue to examine all aspects of our budget, maximizing the impact to our students and to our employees. I once again want to thank this board for your willingness to take the time to study and really go through the budget, as I want to express to the public that you did on June 25th, and even the time weeks before the 25th and after the 25th. So I believe this board is very well situated and understands its budget for the 2019-2020 budget. That's difficult to say sometimes, to realize that we're in the year 2020. At this time, I'd like to call upon Mr. Smith and his staff to make the introductory comments and present the tentative millage and budget.
Thank you, Dr. Grego. So our Truth and Millage ad appeared last Saturday in the Tampa Bay Times. The format for that ad and the order of tonight's hearing presentations are prescribed by Chapter 200 of Florida statutes. Based upon your action tonight, the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office will send out our proposed tax notices. Those notices will legally indicate the time and place of our second and final public hearing on our millage rates and budget, which will be on the night of September 10th of 2019. It's important to note that the proposed tentative budget is based on estimates, since the books for the 18-19 fiscal year have not yet closed. At the second public hearing, you'll be presented with a document which will include the results of the current 18-19 fiscal year. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Karen Coffey, Executive Director of Budget and Resource Allocation, who will first go over the millage rates for your action, and secondly, followed by Ms. Joanne Jordan, Manager of Budget, FTE, and Cost Reporting, who will present the proposed budget.
Thank you, and good evening, Dr. Grego, Madam Chair, board members, and staff. TRIM, or Truth and Millage, requires school districts to advertise their proposed budget and millage rates annually. The district's 2019-20 millage is comprised of the general operating millage, which includes the required local effort, discretionary, and local referendum. The Florida Department of Education certifies the state-required local effort, or RLE, millage rate that must be levied by the school board to generate its local share of funding for the district. The local referendum of 0.5 mil was initially approved by the voters in 2005, 2006, and was approved for the fourth time in 2016, 2017 for a 4-year period. The proposed millage also includes the capital outlay 1.5 mil. What is a mill? A mill refers to the rate of property tax commonly paid on the assessed value of homes and business properties. A mill equates to $1 of taxes for every $1,000 of taxable property value. The rollback rate is the millage rate that would generate the same amount of revenue as last year if applied to the current tax roll after adjusting for new construction. The 2019-20 proposed millage of 6.584 is higher than the rolled back rate by 3.81%. A gross property tax value of approximately $92.86 billion is an increase from last year's value by 7.2% or $6.2 billion. Comparing the current year and prior year millage rates, you can see the total levied millage rate in 2018-19 was 6.727, and for the 19-20, our proposed total levied millage is 6.584. This is an overall decrease of about 2.1%. You will note the required local effort has decreased by 3.59%. Our property tax revenue comparison shows an increase in revenue of $27.3 million over last year's proceeds. This is the result of an increase in our property tax roll. Our required local effort is increasing by about $10.9 million. The proposed discretionary millage will generate about $4.5 million more, and the referendum will yield an additional $3 million. The capital outlay millage will generate $8.9 million, also as a result of the property value increase. Under the proposed tax rate, the owner of a 2,000 home, after the deduction of the $25,000 homestead exemption, would pay $1,152.20. Over the course of 1 year, this averages out to $3.15 a day. The taxable value of property in Pinellas County has experienced an increase on average of 7.2%, and the Florida legislature has set our RLE to 3.836, which is a decrease from the prior year's RLE of 3.979. This year, some homeowners may experience an increase in their paid school taxes, as demonstrated on this slide. It is important to note this is the result of an increase in property value and not an increase to our levied millage rate. The required local effort is an appropriated amount set by the Florida Department of Education. The school board must levy this amount in order to receive state funding. It is used for the day-to-day operations such as school staff and utilities. The discretionary is used for general operations of the district and to meet additional costs due to inflation. The local referendum dollars are used to recruit and retain quality teachers, preserve reading, art, and music programs, and provides up-to-date textbooks and technology. The capital outlay millage is the district's primary funding source for maintenance, renovations, new construction, and equipment, as advertised on July 27th. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to the board chair to allow for public input and for the motions necessary to adopt the millage rate. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've had our explanation of our tentative budget, and we'll allow for public speaking opportunity at this time. Do we have any cards related to any requests for speakers?
We have no speakers signed up.
No speakers. Is there any school board discussion as it relates to the presentation that's been made to us or the documentation that you've received? Okay. So at this time, we want to move for the approval of the tentative discretionary local effort millage. I've asked that school board member Nicole Carr read that for us, please.
Approval of tentative discretionary local effort millage. I move that the board approve the levying of a tentative discretionary local effort millage of 0.748 mils as part of the total millage to be certified to the property appraiser and Florida Department of Revenue.
We have a second. That's been seconded by school board member Carol Cook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now we'll move to the adoption of the total millage rate. I've asked the school board member Carol Cook read that for us, please.
I move that the board adopt a tentative millage rate of 6.584 mils to be set and certified to the property appraiser and to the Florida Department of Revenue. The millage rates are as follows. For required local effort, 3.836 mils. For discretionary local effort, 0.748 mils. For local referendum, 0.500 mils. And for capital outlay, 1.500 mils. Total tentative millage, 6.584 mils. This is a rate of 3.81% greater than the rollback rate.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Dudley. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we have any that are opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you all very much. Moving on to the tentative 2019-2020 budget explanation. Hey, how you doing?
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego and staff. I'll continue tonight's presentation with an overview of the district's tentative budget for 2019-20. The budget calendar is ongoing throughout the year. During the course of the year, budget updates are provided at board workshops, and monitoring is performed through budget analyses and forecasts. In the spring, we typically have a better idea of what the legislative budget is providing for us and whether we can expect an increase or decrease of state funds. Budget steering committee meetings are held during this time frame primarily for capital outlay requests. In July and September, we hold 2 public hearings regarding the budget and millage. Tonight is the first of those hearings. As mentioned earlier, the second hearing will be held September 10th. Certain parameters guide the building of the budget. We strive to and have been able to maintain a 63-37 ratio. This means at least 63% of all expenses are for direct instruction or in the classroom, and 37% are related to other areas such as instructional support, plan operations, and administration. Over the past several years, we have exceeded that benchmark with a ratio of approximately 67-33. In short, at least 2/3 of all funding goes toward expenditures in the classroom. We're required by statute to maintain a minimum 3% contingency, while district policy states we're to maintain a minimum 5% contingency. This budget projects our contingency to be approximately 7% at the end of the 2019-20 fiscal year. We also budget so as to support our core curriculum and strategic directions. The majority of our budget is in our general fund. This year, it's proposed to be approximately $978 million. The second largest fund is capital outlay at $344 million. The district's self-insured health fund is anticipated to be approximately $154 million and represents the district's third largest fund. The total proposed budget for all funds this year is approximately $1.6 billion. Looking at the budget summary for all revenue sources, you see that 63% of the total budget comes from the general fund. Capital outlay accounts for just over 22%. The combined total of these 2 funds comprises approximately 85% of our entire budget. The new year brings several legislative changes. The base student allocation, or BSA, is increased to $4,279.49. This is an increase of $75.07, or 1.8% over last year's BSA. Statewide, funding increased $555.6 million, or $25.3 million to Pinellas, which includes $9.7 million in teacher and principal best and brightest funds. Statewide funding for the Safe Schools allocation increased $800,000 to be utilized for additional school safety personnel. Changes in the Florida retirement system contribution rate are projected to increase district expenditures. A new turnaround supplemental services allocation of $45.5 million statewide was added for fiscal year 1920, benefiting district-managed turnaround schools. Lastly, the digital classrooms allocation was decreased by $50 million statewide. This impacted Pinellas with a reduction of $1.4 million from the prior year's funding level. Total operating fund resources are anticipated to be approximately $978 million. Of that, about $480 million comes from local sources, which includes the half-mil referendum. Almost $382 million comes from state resources. The Florida Education Finance Program, or FEFP, is the general fund's primary funding source. The FEFP funding formula utilizes a combination of state and local resources to fund education. Looking at the operating revenue budget graphically, you'll note that local sources represent about 49% of the total operating budget, and state sources account for 39%. The remaining 12% comes from transfers and fund balance. The operating budget is used to fund the day-to-day operating expenditures of the district. It pays for salaries and benefits, supplies and materials, textbooks, student transportation, utilities, maintenance, and repairs. Viewing the distribution of our operating budget by object, there's little change from prior years. About 62% of our budget is spent on salaries and 20% on benefits. In total, approximately 82% of our operating budget goes towards staffing. Capital outlay funds include revenue from both state and local sources. This fund reflects revenue and expenditures for construction and renovation of school buildings and grounds. The majority of these funds are generated by the local capital improvement millage, which is set by law and limited to 1.5 mils. The district expects no PICO funding this year. Additional funds will be provided through Certificate of Participation or COPS bonds. The 2019 issuance of the COPS will be utilized to construct new classrooms. An updated 5-year capital outlay plan and facilities work program will be brought to the board at the September 10th board meeting. The work program must be approved before the board adopts the final budget. Changes will include projects funded through Certificate of Participation bonds and the addition of the 2023-24 year. Our proposed capital outlay budget is approximately $344 million. The budget reflects $167 million in new revenue, which includes $20 million from bonding and $254 million in proposed expenditures. The special revenue budget is comprised of 2 major categories of federal funds: contracted programs and food service. The total contracted programs budget is approximately $10 million. This budget starts the year off low and builds as the year goes on, as we don't recognize or book the revenue until it's received. Food service is a self-sustaining fund, as it received no dollars from the operating fund. Federal reimbursements and local collections are the primary revenue sources. The proposed food service budget is approximately $53 million. The debt service fund is used to account for the payment of general long-term debt, principal, and interest. The district categorizes the debt service into 2 groups. First, State Board of Education bonds, or SBE bonds, account for principal and interest payments for bonds issued by the state of Florida on the district's behalf in February of 2000. The current principal balance is $600,000, and this debt will be paid off by 2021. The remaining budget of $7.3 million represents the debt service for COPS bonds issued by the district. The proposed self-insured workers' compensation and liability budget of $5.3 million accounts for the premium revenue and expenditures associated with the district's self-insured workers' compensation and liability insurance programs. The Self-Insured Health Fund accounts for the district's premium revenue and claim expenditures with a budget of approximately $154 million. The proposed budget and all supporting documents are on file in the Office of Budget and Resource Allocation. This information can also be found online. At this point, I'll turn the meeting back to the board chair to allow for public comment and the motions necessary to adopt the tentative budget. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Do we have any cards, Ms. Ann-Simonetti, as it relates to the public? No public speakers. Do we have any discussion that's needed or requested by board members? Having seen none, we need to take school board action. I've asked that Mr. Dudley read the next statement, please.
I move that the board approve the tentative 2019-2020 budget as presented.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 6-0 vote. I've asked Carol to read the following motion.
I move that the second public hearing on the 2019-2020 district budget be held on September 10th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the conference hall of the School Administration Building, 301 4th Street Southwest, Largo, Florida.
Do we have a second on that motion? Second. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0 vote. I move that the board authorize the superintendent to advise the property appraiser of the millage rates, including the required rolled back rates approved at the first public hearing that was held today on July 30th, 2019. Do I have a second for that motion? Second. This motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we have anyone opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so very much. So we have tentatively approved our budget. We've taken care of establishing the second public hearing and approval to authorize the submittal of certification of the school taxable values. Other considerations and concluding comments? Are there any other comments or considerations? Any other comments or considerations? None at this time.
Bill.
Bill? Mr. Dudley? Sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to say kudos to the people responsible to put all this together. This is the 9th huge budget that I've been a part of. I did 8 with the city and this one today, and this is by far the easiest to understand. Ms. Flowers, I'm sure you can attest to that. Mm-hmm. It's like an Apple budget. Apple computers were made for people who are challenged, or we are challenged, and this budget is very easy to read. And Mr. Smith, thank you very much. You did a terrific job.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he and his staff are always on top of it, so thank you so very much. I concur. Having no further business to come before us on this evening, meeting adjourned.